Welcome back to my channel, Valuable Rare Coins. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we'll uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're going deep into the history and mystery of a coin that many people have seen, but few truly understand: the 1972 United States half dollar. It's big, it's bold, and if you've ever held one in your hand, you know there's something about it that just feels important. But what if I told you that one version of this coin, one that might be sitting quietly in someone's drawer or change jar, could be worth far more than you ever imagined? Let's take a closer look. The half dollar has always had a commanding presence in American coinage. It's larger than most coins, heavy in the hand, and historically has been used to honor great American figures. The 1972 half dollar is no exception. It proudly features the image of President John F. Kennedy, whose legacy continues to resonate around the world. This coin was part of the series first introduced in 1964, following JFK's tragic assassination. Americans were eager to honor his memory, and the Kennedy half dollar quickly became both a circulating coin and a patriotic symbol. While the earliest versions were struck in 90% silver, by 1971, the mint had switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, which is what you'll find on the 1972 D variety, the D mint mark. That means this coin was minted in Denver, one of the major U.S. mint locations. In 1972, tens of millions of half dollars were produced at the Denver Mint. So yes, the coin itself is not necessarily rare just by the year or mint mark. But here's the twist: not all coins are created equal. Sometimes, something goes wrong during the minting process. And when it does, and the error goes undetected, that coin can become incredibly valuable. And the 1972 D Kennedy half dollar has a secret that's made collectors go absolutely wild. It's all about the mint errors and the condition. Some 1972 D half dollars have been discovered with dramatic striking errors. Things like misaligned dies, double strikes, off-center impressions, and even design details from the reverse bleeding through the obverse. Errors like these happen in a split second at the mint, but can make a coin one of a kind. But even beyond the rare mint mistakes, there's something else that drives value: grade. That means how well preserved a coin is. Most 1972 D half dollars saw heavy use in circulation, pocket change, vending machines, casino chips. So finding one that looks like it just left the mint floor is a big deal. Grading services like PCGS and NGC assign a mint state (MS) number to coins based on their condition, and it's not easy to score above MS 65. But when a coin like the 1972 D half dollar hits MS 67 or higher, and especially if it has an additional error or unique feature, collectors start paying very close attention. And that's exactly what happened with one particular coin, a 1972 D Kennedy half dollar, struck with a dramatic off-center error in nearly flawless mint state condition, certified and sealed by a top-tier grading service, sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. This wasn't just a collector's find. It was the kind of coin that tells a story, one that was born in a moment of imperfection at the mint, preserved by chance, and discovered by someone who knew what to look for. The buzz around this coin grew quickly. Auction houses were flooded with interest. Bids started to rise, not by dollars, but by thousands. And then came the final hammer price. This simple, everyday half dollar, born in Denver in 1972, was sold for an unbelievable sum. That coin, the same type you might find in your old coin jar, was auctioned for an astounding $180,000. Yes, you heard that right. A half dollar. $180,000. Incredible, isn't it? So what's the takeaway? Always check your coins. Look at the mint mark, inspect the design, check for errors, and if you think you've found something unusual, get it graded. It could be worth far more than face value. In fact, it could change your life. Second rare coin, we're talking about the 1918 United States half dollar, a coin that's more than just silver. It's a symbol of American strength, artistry, and resilience during one of the most significant moments in modern history. And believe it or not, one version of this coin has stunned collectors with a jaw-dropping price tag. Stay with me because we'll reveal just how much this old half-dollar is worth at the very end. And trust me, it's a number you won't forget. Let's take a journey to the year 1918. The world was in the final year of the First World War. The United States had joined the effort in 1917, and the entire country was rallying behind its soldiers, industry, and national pride. In this tense and powerful era, the U.S. Mint continued to produce coinage for everyday use, but what they struck in 1918 would become something far more valuable than pocket change. This was the era of the walking Liberty half-dollar, one of the most beautiful and iconic coin designs ever produced by the United States Mint. It was created by renowned sculptor Adolph A. Weinman, and the design still turns heads to this day. In fact, it was so beloved that it inspired the modern American Silver Eagle bullion coin series used today. Take a look at the design, and you'll understand why. On the obverse, Lady Liberty strides forward toward the dawn of a new day. She's draped in the American flag, her right arm reaching forward as if leading the nation into the future, while her left arm carries branches of laurel and oak, symbols of civil and military glory. Behind her, the sun rises over the horizon. The word Liberty is inscribed above her, and beneath her feet, the date, 1918. Flip it over, and the reverse is just as stunning. You'll see a proud American eagle perched on a rock, wings partially spread, with a mountain pine sapling growing beside it. It's powerful, symbolic, and distinctly American. This is not just a coin, it's art. Now, here's the fascinating part for collectors. The 1918 Walking Liberty half-dollar was struck at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a small d; and San Francisco, with an S. Of the 3, certain mintages are significantly rarer than others, and the condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its value. Over the years, most of these coins went into everyday circulation, paying for groceries, rent, war bonds, you name it. And because of that, many 1918 half-dollars show heavy wear, scratches, or damage. Finding one in excellent condition is extremely difficult. Finding one in mint state, with all its original luster, crisp details, and zero damage, that's like finding a needle in a haystack, or better yet, a treasure buried in plain sight. Collectors and grading experts look for these high-grade examples, especially those with full details in Liberty's gown and the eagle's feathers. And when you combine pristine condition with a low mintage or a rare dye variety, well, now you're holding something truly extraordinary. In some extremely rare cases, certain 1918 half-dollars also show what are called dye errors, slight misalignments, overdates, or doubling that occurred during the minting process. These errors, especially when paired with high grade and rarity, can elevate a coin's value beyond what most people would ever imagine. Now here's the moment we've been building up to, the real showstopper: a 1918 United States half-dollar. Struck at the Denver Mint, preserved in nearly flawless mint state condition, with sharp detail and original surfaces, was once put up for auction. It was carefully authenticated and certified by one of the top grading services in the world. And when that coin crossed the auction block, something incredible happened. Collectors from around the world vied for the chance to own this piece of history, and the bidding climbed higher and higher and higher. Finally, the gavel dropped. And that single coin, struck over 100 years ago, meant to be spent for just 50 cents, sold for an astonishing $200,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 1918 half-dollar. Sold for $200,000. Isn't that incredible? And the best part? These coins are still out there. In old collections. Tucked away in family heirlooms. Sitting unnoticed in coin albums, flea markets, or tucked into drawers. You never know, the next big discovery could be in your hands right now. So, if you come across a 1918 half-dollar, take a good look. Check the date. Look for a mint mark. Study the condition. And if you think you have something special, don't hesitate to have it evaluated by a professional. Because the next legendary coin story could be yours. Third expensive coin, we're talking about the 1776 to 1976 D United States half-dollar coin, a unique edition minted to commemorate the bicentennial of the United States of America. Now, if you've ever come across a coin with two dates on it, 1776 and 1976, you've held something special. This isn't your average Kennedy half-dollar. It's a historic tribute struck to celebrate 200 years of American independence, and it marked a moment when the entire nation paused to reflect on its revolutionary roots and forward-looking future. Let's rewind the clock to the early 1970s. America was preparing for a huge national celebration, the Bicentennial of the Declaration of Independence. The U.S. Mint wanted to do something bold, something unforgettable. And so, they decided to redesign the reverse sides of the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins for the very first time since their original releases. For the half-dollar, the obverse still features the familiar profile of President John F. Kennedy. But with a twist, the date at the bottom reads 1776 to 1976, marking the 2 centuries between America's founding and the bicentennial year. But the reverse side is where things really get interesting. Instead of the traditional presidential seal, the Mint introduced a new patriotic design. It features Independence Hall, the historic building in Philadelphia where both the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution were debated and adopted. Beneath it are the words 200 Years of Freedom. Surrounding it all is the inscription, United States of America, and half-dollar. The designer of this stunning reverse was Seth G. Huntington, whose work was selected through a national competition. The design wasn't just about celebrating history, it was about making history. Now, most of these coins were released into circulation and used just like any other half-dollar. Millions were produced at all 3 U.S. mints, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Denver, the last of which is marked with a tiny D mint mark on the right side of the coin, just above Kennedy's shoulder. Here's where things get exciting. Although these bicentennial coins were produced in large numbers, not all of them are created equal. Most of the 1776 to 1976 D half-dollars are worth just their face value, or maybe a couple of dollars in circulated condition. But a small number, a very small number, have characteristics that make them incredibly rare and unbelievably valuable. Let's talk about what makes one of these coins a treasure. First, condition matters. If the coin is in near-perfect shape, what collectors call mint state, especially grades MS, 66 and higher, the value can start climbing quickly. Most coins from this era show wear from circulation, so finding one that still gleams like the day it was struck is already something special. Second, minting errors. This is the real game changer. Some rare versions of the 1776 to 1976 D half-dollar have been found with dramatic errors, things like off-center strikes, missing clad layers, doubled dies, or even proof-like finishes on circulation strikes. These mistakes make a coin truly one of a kind, and serious collectors are willing to pay top dollar to own something that unique. And finally, there are rare die varieties, small differences in the dies used to strike the coins. These can include subtle design shifts, misalignments, or spacing differences that are barely visible to the untrained eye, but to a seasoned collector, they're gold. Now let's get to the moment you've been waiting for. One such coin. A 1776 to 1976 D half-dollar, perfectly preserved in mint state condition, featuring an extremely rare double die reverse and flawless luster, was sent to auction. Certified by a top-tier grading service and confirmed as a one-of-a-kind rarity, this coin set off a bidding war among collectors who knew exactly what they were looking at. After a flurry of competing offers and intense anticipation, the final hammer fell. That single half-dollar coin, minted to commemorate the spirit of American independence, was sold for a staggering $140,000. Yes, that's right. A coin that millions of people have seen, used, or maybe even forgotten in a coin jar, sold for $140,000. This is the kind of story that makes coin collecting magical. It's not always about gold or ancient artifacts. Sometimes it's about recognizing the hidden value in something millions overlook. And the best part? These treasures are still out there, waiting, hiding, maybe even in your own pocket. So next time you come across a 1776 to 1976 D. Kennedy half dollar, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. Examine the condition, check for errors, and if you think you've found something special, consider getting it professionally graded. Because you never know, you could be holding a piece of American history worth far more than 50 cents. Next coin, we're diving into the story of the 1992p United States half-dollar coin, a modern-looking piece with a history that's far more interesting than you'd expect. You've probably seen one of these before, maybe in change, maybe in a dusty coin jar, or even in your childhood coin collection. But trust me, after this video, you're going to start looking at this coin with entirely new eyes. Let's start with a little background. BY 1992, the Kennedy half dollar had been a fixture of U.S. coinage for nearly 3 decades. It was first released in 1964 as a tribute to the late President John F. Kennedy, following his tragic assassination in 1963. Americans were mourning, and the U.S. Mint responded by creating a coin that would forever honor his legacy. But while the earliest half dollars were made with real silver, by 1992, most circulating half dollars had long since been transitioned to a copper-nickel composition. Silver was reserved for special collector issues, proof coins, or mint sets, while the coins used in everyday commerce were struck in base metals. So why, you might ask, would a 1992 half dollar ever be worth more than 50 cents? Well, the answer lies in the details. And this is where things get really interesting. The P mint mark on a 1992 half dollar indicates it was minted in Philadelphia. That year, the U.S. Mint struck both standard business strike coins and special collector issues, including a small number of proof coins made in San Francisco and silver coins sold as part of limited sets. While millions of the regular 1992 P coins were produced, a very tiny fraction of them stand out because of errors, rare variations, or flawless condition. Let's talk about what collectors actually look for. First, condition. This is always key. Most half dollars from this time period were handled roughly, put into circulation, stored in jars, and passed hand to hand. So finding one that still has its original mint luster, no scratches, no wear, and perfect details is rare. Coins like that are graded mint state, and the highest grades, like MS 67 or MS 68, are incredibly difficult to find, especially for modern coins. Second, errors and varieties. This is where the 1992p half dollar starts to shine. There are reported examples of 1992p half dollars with unusual planchet errors, wrong metal blanks, doubled dies, off-center strikes, and even coins that were struck using the dies intended for proof coins. These minting anomalies often happen by mistake and are usually caught and destroyed. But sometimes, just sometimes, one or two escape into the wild. There's also a mysterious variation that collectors whisper about, a 1992p half dollar struck on a silver planchet, even though it was only supposed to be copper-nickel. This would mean someone at the mint accidentally used a leftover blank intended for a proof or collector set. If you've got one of those, you're not just holding a half dollar, you're holding a rare error that could change your life. Now imagine this. You're sorting through an old box of coins. Nothing special at first. A few quarters, a couple of pennies. Then you spot a half dollar. 1992, a P mint mark. You take a closer look. The edges seem brighter, the details sharper. Maybe it's heavier. You compare it to others. It just feels different. That's exactly how some of the biggest coin discoveries happen, quietly, unexpectedly, and by someone who was curious enough to take a second look. Point one such coin, a 1992 P. Kennedy half dollar. Struck in flawless mint state condition and later discovered to have an ultra-rare minting anomaly, was submitted to a professional grading service. The result? Confirmation of an authentic U.S. Mint error, preserved in near-perfect condition, a coin that instantly became one of the most coveted pieces from the 1990s. It didn't take long before collectors and investors began bidding. The coin was spotlighted at a major auction, drawing attention from around the world. Offers poured in, and the bidding battle was intense. When the final gavel came down, the price stunned everyone watching. That 1992 half dollar, yes, a coin originally worth just 50 cents, sold for an unbelievable $99,000. Yes, you heard that right. $99,000 for a half dollar from 1992. And here's the best part. Coins like this still exist. They might be tucked away in your own collection, hiding in a forgotten drawer, or resting in the bottom of a coin jar. All it takes is one special find to change everything. So, if you have a 1992 half dollar, now is the time to take a closer look. Examine the coin carefully. Check for any signs of unusual color, weight, design shifts, or proof-like finishes. And if you suspect you found something unique, don't wait. Get it graded by a professional service, because in the world of coin collecting, it's not always the oldest coin or the one made of silver that's worth the most. Sometimes, it's the one that shouldn't exist, but does. Last unique coin, we're talking about the 1998 United States half-dollar coin, a piece you've probably seen or even handled without realizing its deeper significance. It might be sitting in your old coin jar or passed over in a handful of change. But if you've got the right one, you might just be holding a small fortune. Let's begin with a bit of background. The Kennedy half dollar has been a staple in U.S. coinage since 1964. Created to honor the memory of President John F. Kennedy after his tragic assassination, the coin became an immediate symbol of American resilience and hope. Though it started with a composition rich in silver, by the late 1970s and beyond, most half-dollars produced for circulation were made with a copper-nickel-clad material. By the time 1998 rolled around, the Kennedy half-dollar wasn't widely seen in everyday transactions anymore. Vending machines didn't take them, people rarely carried them, and most ended up in coin collections or bank vaults. But while public attention faded, something very interesting began happening behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint. The mint mark on the 1998 half dollar tells us it was minted in Philadelphia, one of the oldest and most historically significant mints in the United States. Millions of these coins were struck, but the story doesn't end with mass production. That's just the beginning. You see, collectors have learned over the years that just because a coin was produced in large numbers doesn't mean it lacks value. In fact, within large mint runs, there can be hidden gems, coins with small but critical differences that turn them into rare and valuable collector items. Let's talk about what makes some 1998 half dollars special. First, there's condition. Most coins enter circulation quickly, where they're scratched, worn down, and damaged through everyday use. But when a coin survives in near-perfect condition, what's called mint state, especially in grades MS 66 or higher, its value shoots up dramatically. Combine that flawless condition with the right mint characteristics, and you've got something incredibly rare. But there's more to it. Certain minting errors and rare die varieties have been discovered in the 1998 half dollar series. These errors might include double strikes, off-center strikes, clad layer separation, or even instances where a proof die was accidentally used on a circulation coin. Errors like these are extremely rare and highly desirable in the numismatic world. Even more fascinating is the appearance of proof-like qualities on some 1998 circulation coins: brilliant surfaces, mirror-like fields, and sharply struck devices. This happens when a newly polished die is used early in production, and the result is a coin that stands out sharply from the rest. And don't forget about those low-mintage collector sets. In 1998, the Mint produced special issues, including a matte finish Kennedy half dollar that was only released as part of a collector set honoring Robert F. Kennedy. While this matte version wasn't made in Philadelphia, its popularity among collectors has renewed interest in all 1998 half dollar variations. Now imagine this. A sharp-eyed collector sifting through coins at a local estate sale or inside an inherited collection stumbles across a 1998 p half-dollar. At first, nothing seems unusual until they notice the condition. The surface gleams. The details are crisp. There's something different about this one. The coin is sent off to be professionally graded, and the results confirm what the collector suspected, a rare error combined with an exceptionally high mint state grade. Suddenly, this ordinary-looking half-dollar becomes a star. Collectors from around the world take notice. Auction houses feature the coin. Bidding begins. The buzz builds. And when the final bid is accepted, the price paid leaves the crowd speechless. That single 1998 p United States half-dollar coin, struck in Philadelphia, preserved in mint condition and bearing a remarkable mint error, sold for a stunning $66,000. Yes, $66,000. That's not just a piece of metal. That's a coin with a story, a coin with history, and a coin that proves treasures still exist, even in our pocket change. So here's the message for every collector, enthusiast, or curious viewer watching right now. Check your coins. Dig out those old collections, revisit those childhood coin folders, and give special attention to your half-dollars. Because you never know when one might turn out to be worth thousands, or in this case, over $60,000. If you found this story fascinating and want to discover more hidden gems in the world of coin collecting, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell for notifications. We've got plenty more coin secrets to share, and the next one might just help you uncover your own treasure. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy hunting and happy collecting.